Hello and welcome to this exciting Biblical Citations training, a crash course in how to find information in the Bible, narrated by me, Mr. Russell. Through the course of today's training, we'll show you how biblical citations work so that you can locate information in the Bible all by yourself. Let's make a start of it. All biblical citations are made up of three parts: book, chapter, and verse. The book is a name or abbreviation, in this case Kings. The number before Kings here is a volume number. Some biblical books have multiple volumes. Numbers before the colon are chapter numbers, 18 in this case. Numbers after the colon are verse numbers, 1 and then 9 through 12 here. Here's a Bible page from out in the wild. You'll notice the big number 1 is a chapter number, and these many smaller numbers are the verse numbers. Here's another sample citation. The book is Luke, the chapter is 15, and the verses to read are verses 11 through 32. In a case such as this one, the last verse number is inclusive. You read until you get to the end of verse 32, stopping at the beginning of the next one. So in this case, you would stop at the little number verse 33. We've seen how dashes are used for a range of verses. Commas, like this one, are used for skipping. Here you would read until you got to the end of verse 7, and then you would skip to the beginning of verse 12. Semicolons are also used for skipping, but they are used for skipping chapters. So here you would read the first two verses of Genesis chapter 4, but then you would skip the rest of chapter 4 and start again at the third verse in chapter 5. That's a pretty big jump. Dashes can also be used to travel between chapters. So here you would start in the middle of chapter 7, but you would keep reading without skipping all the way into the beginning of chapter 8. If you only have one number after the book, that means you are reading the whole chapter, from verse 1 all the way to the end of the very last verse. In this case, you would be reading the entirety of Genesis chapter 4. If you are reading multiple chapters, you'll still use a dash without any colons or verse numbers. Here you are reading everything in Genesis chapters 4, 5, and 6. You would stop when you got to the very end of chapter 6. Semicolons can also be used to skip whole chapters while reading the entirety of others. Here you would read all of chapter 4, skip all of chapter 5, and then read all of chapter 6. Now that you know how to find information in the Bible, it's time to use that information to better the world. Use it here to decode this secret message from the Illuminati and foil their dastardly plot for global domination by finding the first word in all of these biblical verses. Who said reading the Bible wasn't useful?